invoices lose an average of 12 to 15% of their value for every 30 days that they remain outstanding. So quite literally, your money is wasting away, right? This isn't wine. This is not even just a high yield savings account. It's nothing. You're just losing money, right? You're actually losing it at a pretty brisk clip. Um, so we need to have a cadence, and it needs to be, it's not rocket science. I do classes on this all the time. On day, ignoring all the prep in the before, right? Just for a second. But when we literally hit day one past due, what are we going to do? Right? We need to send an email reminder, probably, right? Most people just need a nudge. It's not intentional. They might be playing a little bit of a cash flow game, but they probably just need a little kick in the butt. I always use this phrasing of friendly, consistent, persistent, and it's the last piece that I see law firms really struggle with because that's the human nature piece. And it's not that, you mentioned earlier, is it human nature that people just don't pay? I think it's people first in line, first to get paid is how I like to do it. It's another little catchphrase I love because when it comes time to pay my rent, my bills, my mortgage, like I have a mental priority list. A lot of stuff's on auto pay to your point earlier, so I don't have to think about it. So make it easy for them to pay. But I also know of the things that aren't on auto pay, which ones have the highest consequence, right? Like, or who's going to call me and kind of make me feel bad about it a little bit. And I don't mean they're unprofessional, but they're going to stay on top of it. Like we've got a vendor that I don't have an easy way to auto pay them, but I'm like, all right, it's on my calendar, I'll do it. The email right away though. So I'm like, okay, I'm always there. They hit me on day three past due every single time, right? They have a certain way that they do it. So I think a cadence of reminders, which technology can help with, but we all delete emails we don't want to read sometimes. Something that might surprise people, but like what we've seen a huge improvement on is just picking up the phone, right? Hi, this is Matt. Ideally not the attorney, right? Again, be guard your time very, very closely. But hi, this is Matt. I'm calling on, from ABC Law. Just checking in on invoice 123. Did you get that? Did you have any questions or anything I can help with? Make it a customer service phone call. Don't make it a collections phone call. Obviously, you have your goal in mind. I just wanted to make sure you got it. Do the assumptive sort of thing. Oh, you probably didn't get that. I want to make sure you had access to it. Did that show up okay in your inbox? We're just making sure. Like you could do all kinds of little things that are very friendly, they're not aggressive. And I just want to make sure you're feeling good. Do you have any questions about that invoice? I'm here to help you. All these sorts of things. And then you just literally layer those emails, phone calls, resending the bill just kind of automatically, like pretending that they didn't get it, right? Resending the email reminders should do a fair amount of that. And that's kind of your 0 to 30, no, really no longer than that sort of phase of like gentle reminders, first couple weeks, these sorts of things. But if we're really not getting anywhere, it's all about escalation after that. And I have a cadence that we publish and kind of what we do at Callbox. And because the thing is, giving it away is easy for me because I didn't create anything brand new for Callbox. We just started doing it for people, right? Like that's the difference, right? And unfortunately, I think attorneys here or employers, I just want to say anyone who's managing the folks that are tasked with making these phone calls, most people do not want to make these phone calls. Like they will not do it regularly. So you're going to have to be very careful, right? So you write out your cadence, you download it from me, whatever you want to do, right? Have a cadence, just have an AR policy. Here's what we're going to do on day 1, 10, 15, so on and so on. And just make sure that's where the management comes in, right? So you got to make sure that they're making the phone calls. And I hate to say it, but it's made all the difference because you get email reminders from a Clio or a practice management solution, yet our collections lockup numbers are still there. That's not any shade on them or any others out there, but I think it's just people not following through on it. So I think getting the bill out the door is certainly a piece of it. But for collections lockup, I think you got to just pick up the phone. You got to be willing to have that conversation. And then we get into some interesting things that you and I were talking on before we kicked off. Um, what's going on, right? Like having that real conversation with the client. Family law, I'm talking to you. I work with a ton of family law, so I bring that up a lot. Are they in financial hardship? This could be for any practice area, whether it's the business or an individual. Do they need a payment plan? Do they need a discount? These kinds of things. You don't ever want to lead with any of these things. You want cash flow and profit first. That's not a question. But, you know, the reality is if you frame it to a client like it's all or nothing, a client in true hardship is going to choose nothing, right? They're just going to they're going to roll the dice on not paying you. And becomes a bluffing game on who's more serious, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, law firms back down most of the time, right? That needs to change also. And so that's when you can unpack things. You can say, all right, you owe $5,000, case is over. I want to set you up on an installment plan, right? But you need to pay X amount every month. I need a credit card on file. There's great tooling for this inside the practice management systems, right? Like, let's set those things up. Let's use those tools. But that's a policy, this conversation you need to have, right? Inside my firm, what am I comfortable with? There's a family law group out of Colorado I love. They're great partners of ours. They're like, we're breaking it up into 6 installments. That is the most I'm willing to be a bank to anybody. They've set it up, they've thought it through, they've done the math, they know their numbers, and they know that 6 months, 6 equal installments is something that they can tolerate. And it brings in enough business with that flexibility. It gives them a little more edge. They're happy to do it, but we help them execute on it, right? Someone has to keep calling and make sure, because even if you put a credit card on file, declined, insufficient funds. Well, now we're back to AR again, right? So we have to pick up the phone, we have to follow up, and we need to have the follow up. Are we ever going to use collection agencies? Are we going to report on their credit? A lot of these things are like cure way down the line where prevention is ideal. But that's something I consult a lot of firms on, is because nobody talks to me usually when things are beautiful in their cash
Right.
flow and accounts receivable world. So, we talk a lot about like, all right, well, are you going to sue them? No? Okay, probably not. What about collections? What about payment plans? What about a settlement, right? Are we willing to take 50 or 75% of this to call this thing done? These are all tools. None of these should be your first line of defense, but I think these things all need to be defined and very clearly. That way, when you hire a staff member, your will be done, right? Like, let's just get this thing executed. You've thought it through as the business owner. What can I tolerate, to stay in line with my financial goals? And that's all it is.